On this episode of DC On Screen, why Birds of Prey is not a flop, the first look at the Pattinson Batsuit, and the return of Batman, the animated series, right after this mysterious ad that's probably Flo trying to sell you insurance or something. Welcome into DC On Screen episode 583. I'm David C. Robertson. This is my happy co-host, Jason Goss.
Overstatement, but hi.
You're not happy?
Not unhappy.
We should probably stop doing the show then.
Just in the middle most of the time.
Let's just wait until a day where you're absolutely giddy.
Yeah. I'm not going to make many noises at my casket, though.
Oh, this is the podcast where we discuss the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, give honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believe that every version of a property is valid, even if we don't want it to be. If it's been released, it is fair game, so beware of spoilers, and welcome to the show. How about that, man?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Which part?
I don't know.
Good start.
I know.
Good start.
I know, man. I'm sorry.
That just like reminded me of Work Deeply, where it's like a continuing Rolodex of the same 12 phrases every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, there he is. Oh, there's the man with all the money. I could keep going through them, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Oh, how you doing? Oh, another day in paradise. Living the dream.
I hate that.
You know, all
people
those.
who have nothing to offer or nothing legitimate to say to each other.
You know, I honestly think for a lot of people that is just a legitimate way of continuing a conversation. Like it's as good as just nodding. But for me, it's I've told you this line several times. It's like most of the time I see those same things happen every single day on repeat, and I just I'm borrowing from Futurama here, but it's just I want to see somebody throw a fucking pie after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just like one person just grab a rubber chicken and toss it at a motherfucker. Like that would really brighten my day. But I've never gotten that.
I remember several years ago I was working with a lady named Gina,
mm-hmm.
and she would always give me shit because it was just like it was a continuous cycle. I would come into work. She would be like, "Hey, Dave, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm here." And she just couldn't get over that notion that I was just going to be like, "I'm here." She's like, "Why aren't you good? Why aren't you great? Why aren't you bad? Why aren't you?" I'm like, "Look, I could go into all the reasons I'm bad or all the reasons I'm blessed. But
that's another one. How you doing? Blessed.
You know, I was
Blanket
like, we're just going to continue this horrendous cycle of small talk. So why don't we just, from here on out, and you can do whatever you want to with other people, but when it comes to me, when I come in, don't ask me how I am.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say hello.
Mm-hmm.
We can literally, because we have a good time when we actually just have conversation. Let's just pick up where we left off if we need to. We don't say goodbye. We don't say hello. None of that shit anymore. I leave. I come back. So I watched that movie you were talking about.
Yeah, and then you're into something. There's some meat on the bone.
Yeah.
No, similarly, I've trained my coworkers in the morning, and even some of the customers who will be there or not, depending. But there are people who more or less regularly show up at certain times, especially in the morning. And I've trained most of them to not take it personally. But when you look at me and you're like, "Morning, good morning, blah, 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 blah," I'm just going to look at you and grunt. I mean, honestly, I just, On a very chipper day, you might get from me this morning. Like that's the height of my excitement. And you're never going to get the phrase "good morning" from me.
Right.
Even then, when I said it, did you feel like a certain animosity in the phrasing? Like my voice dropped? Like I don't, no, these don't exist to me. The first hour of my day is just chaos and fight until I boot up and then I'm good.
Yeah.
Like I would love to hear a DC On Screen recorded at 6:45 a.m.
Oh God.
That would be fantastic.
That would be hilarious.
If we did it one day, we would probably midway through like, I fucking can't. I don't care. Fuck it. We're released. Delete it. Burn your computer. Fuck it. We'll do this later.
Now I really want to do it.
I don't want to be up at that point.
Like we should like amp that up. We should just be like marketing that and be like, okay, we're going to do like 4 a.m. DC On Screen and we're going to get like 2 hours of sleep and just sit down and yeah, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. It's going to be
it might be a Patreon
a
Patreon exclusive. That's what it should be.
Yeah. That would probably lose us, everybody. It would, for my part, it would largely be me still trying to process the bizarre nightmares that my brain has formed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't get normal ones anymore. I get, like, my brain knows that normal ones don't work on me anymore. Like, zombies, fuck it. I'm having fun with that now. That's just a level in a video game. I don't care. I'm just enjoying myself. Like, how am I going to defeat him tonight? What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll go into weirder places. Like, I won't give you examples because, I have a therapist for that. But it's gotten weirder in the way where, like, you wake up and you're like, I don't even know how to process that. I don't understand what just happened. I mean, all right, just one example. Last night, I was chased down by 3 men in white coveralls with cheap paper plates strapped to their face with a crude smiley face drawn on them, who were covered in pubic hair on the white coveralls, who introduced me to their friends, the belts that they tore out from under their coveralls, and tried to chase me down a hallway. That's well and truly fucked. I just don't even know what to do with that. I still don't.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I told my wife earlier today. I don't know how to help you because she told me about a dream that she had. I remember
knowing that the coveralls and the pubic hairs was a fetish thing that I walked in on.
Oh God,
like that's, and they couldn't let me leave.
My wife.
This is why we're dangerous when it's a light news week, by the way. Yeah,
my wife tells me today. I had a dream last night that I woke up and I was late for my dental appointment. I was like, She says, I'm freaking out. I get to the dentist, except my dentist wasn't my dentist. My dentist was my gynecologist. And I just kept thinking, I hope she cleaned her instruments.
From her perspective, why would that be different if you went to a dentist?
Because she acknowledged that it was her gynecologist in the dream. She knew it was her gynecologist.
It's still a hole in your body. They should all be clean.
That's true.
Unless the thought was like, I didn't shower and I slept in these panties.
Ugh. And you've taken it to a bad place.
I mean, it happens. We've all gone somewhere early in the morning in a pinch, man.
That's true.
All right.
I have.
All right. Let's reprieve anyone who's still with us.
I'm so sorry, everyone. All right, listen.
First fun stuff coming, I promise.
Yeah. So we do have a giveaway happening. We are giving away a Joker digital code. All you have to do is leave us a written review on your chosen podcatcher service, preferably Apple Podcasts, but whatever. That doesn't mean anything as far as your eligibility. You can also do a recommendation on our Facebook page or share us on social media somewhere. But when you do, please take a screenshot and send it to us. Let us know you're officially entering the contest. We have several people who share us who we know they have Joker and they don't want the code. They love us and we love them, and that's fantastic. But please let us know you're officially entering the contest. You will be entered. We will use a random number generator at the beginning of March to decide who wins. I'm excited about it. I think it's a pretty cool thing. And again, thank you to DCU Fandom or FanFam over on Twitter. Fandom. Mm-hmm. And he's the guy. He's one of our listeners, and he's throwing us that code to give away.
Much appreciated. And
last but not least, certainly, thank you to the patrons out there. If you want to join their ranks, please go to patreon.com/DCOnScreen. $1 a month gets you every episode ad-free. $5 a month gets you that plus extra episodes. We have attention deficit discussions, chasing squirrels, Jason's pull list. We were just talking about maybe doing a new thing called I Got Nothing, where we just turn on the mics and with no plan at all, which is a lot like our normal show. So anyway,
the warm-ups warm up.
Yeah. Either way, you're going to get a shout out and a thank you on the show. Now let's talk about this news.
Hit it.
We've only got a little bit. Pretty much exactly what I said in the intro. We've got updated Harley Quinn Birds of Prey numbers. That's what we're going to call it now. Now look, I jumped the gun last week. I called it a flop. Everybody else called it a flop for the most part.
No.
It's not a flop, though.
Refused.
You did refuse. You did. That's why I didn't mention you. I didn't say we. I said I.
I know. I do appreciate it.
Yeah. So this thing has been in theaters for 10 days, 4,236 theaters, and it has domestically pulled in 62 million. And worldwide is 145.6. All right. To put that up against something else, Shazam was in theaters for 45 weeks in 4,306 theaters, and it pulled in 140 million worldwide. 140 million domestically and 365.9 worldwide.
Did you say 45 weeks?
Yes.
Like the overwhelming part of a year?
Mm-hmm.
Good God, I forgot it was there that long.
Yeah, so Birds of Prey is not doing that bad, guys.
Nah, those aren't terrible numbers.
It's just not. It's lower than projected, but it's not doing that
worldwide,
bad.
You've almost doubled your budget in 2 weeks. Honest prediction, if I saw correctly, the legs on it, which is in an actual metric, how much is the percentage drop from opening weekend to the next and so on. The legs on it really weren't bad at all. There was a drop. There's always a drop, but it was only like slightly less than 50, like literally 49% or something like that, which is, it's not detrimental, pretty normal. So honest prediction for me, this film has another good 2 weeks worth of showing with, a gradual decline. That's just how it works. And I think it comes out to really make its money and justify a sequel pretty hard.
Yeah, I think so.
And God help us if it's one of those things where you're like, that thing's still in theaters. Fuck it. I'm going to go see this again.
But it's got good word of mouth. A lot of people are going out to see it, now that the fans seem to be behind it.
It
critics seem to be behind it.
We could just be in a circle in some kind of bubble, but to me, in my experience with it in the last couple of weeks, the people who've seen it really enjoyed it and had a good time.
Yeah, and again,
we're talking about recommended.
We're talking about an R-rated film. We're talking about strange time of the year.
Yeah,
it's not nearly as. I do think.
Had to hold up to Sonic.
Changing absolutely. Sonic kind of knocked it out of the #1 spot, which was to be expected. We're talking about a PG-13 kids movie
with what looks like
it's got a huge amount of
Jim Carrey performance.
Yes,
for being honest.
Yes.
I really want to go see that movie.
And a lot of our people, a lot of like DC on screen listeners and friends of the show have been going to see Sonic. I haven't gotten a chance to see it. Honestly, it's not a thing I'm going to go see in theaters. It's a thing I'm going to eventually stumble across on a streaming network or a streaming service somewhere and go, oh yeah, I'll watch that in a few weeks or months and then never get around to. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. For sure. I'm not going to make it for that. I just don't have time. Too many projects, baby. Not a thing. But I will watch that movie for sure.
Yeah, and we had a Birds of Prey executive. We had a WB executive talking about like they literally just came out and changed the name to Harley Quinn because of SEO, like not being able to find Harley Quinn in that first as the first words in the title. If you see Birds of Prey. If you're I had people that I knew talking about like, oh yeah, I looked for Harley Quinn, but I couldn't find it. No, that's not what the movie was called.
Well, I did a little experiment myself, and what I was doing was I was going around asking people, did you see the new Harley Quinn movie? Basically that phrase, give or take a couple words, but that was the instinct. I was going for a cold, no hints, did you see the new Harley Quinn movie kind of thing. And
yeah,
genuinely 100% of the people that I asked, and I was picking a certain kind of person, I was picking GA. Like I know who the people are in my life that maybe know better. I was picking GA, like people who have talked about like an action film or somebody who's asked me about an Avengers or a DC or something in the past, whatever. But somebody who had enough interest that they might have known this was there or would be interested to see if it was there. But anyway, you see the experiment, and 100% across the board. What are you talking about? The Birds of Prey, that thing that came out last weekend. That's the follow-up with Harley Quinn. That's her story. Oh, well, shit. That's probably pretty good. Yeah, it's really pretty good. You should go see it. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try that. That was overwhelmingly, honestly, like short of a couple of like, I don't cares, which are gonna happen, and the reasons, and in that case, the reasons weren't like any kind of instinct or anything. It was just like, I just didn't care too much about her or whatever. Some disinterest in general. That's bound to happen. But there were people that were genuinely excited to hear that. No, that's the Harley Quinn movie. You should go see this. Oh fuck yeah, I love Margot Robbie. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
she's a delight, and she's playing a wonderful character. And also, by the way, everything else that happens is pretty fun. Go see it.
Yeah, and I've noticed a shift in some of the marketing. They're actively saying Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. So I think it's a good call. I think it'll definitely have legs.
Yeah,
with the title change. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, you know what'd be interesting to see though going forward is there's really been no real news. I mean, it's all kinds of speculation if you want to go to those kind of sites, but no actual description of what they wanted to do following this movie with, the set of characters in this movie. And it would be kind of interesting to see, like, after the numbers change and after they decided to change the title, and it did seem to help a little bit.
Yeah.
Or if it didn't, it was just like it took everybody a week to catch up and realize that's what was going on. Another possibility.
I think is clear from the cast that they want to do some variation of Gotham City Sirens.
I know.
Or Birds of Prey versus Gotham City Sirens. Yeah. But they also say they want Wonder Woman in there as well. And I'm just like, you guys just want all the things.
Yeah, you keep dreaming, baby. I love it. I'm really rooting for everything you just told me, but
yeah,
it unfortunately does not start with the artists. It goes the other way around sometimes. So I'd be curious to see what the next working title is going forward. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Is it going to be Harley Quinn based, or is it going to be Birds of Prey or Gotham City Sirens or whatever? Like they may have learned a lesson about, because this, if it's true and it helped, the lesson maybe to learn is, look, you take your title character and you put that up front. I don't care what the property is. Yeah. Because if you just invent a phrase, and I know it's not inventing a phrase, I know it's a real thing, but to GA, you just invented a term. And you threw it up there, and there were some commercials, and you maybe weren't paying attention because it was the middle of Super Bowl, and you were arguing with your friend about fucking why Tom Brady isn't in there right now. And you weren't even paying attention and didn't realize because of the costume changes that was Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, and completely out of context. You just didn't even catch it. Because I ran into that before. It was like, I saw some trailers. I didn't realize that was Harley Quinn. That's what I ran into in my life. Like, people just genuinely, because it's out of context and the name changed, just didn't understand what they were getting into because they don't live in our world.
Yeah, and as much as I am a fan of creatives having the power to make the film they want, I do think this is, I hate when it becomes like something like Sujihara, cutting the legs out from under an artist. You don't want that.
No, that is tipping the scales way too far.
And I know I'm going to get canceled by DC fans somewhat here, but guys, Kevin Feige's doing it right. You put the person that's the big deal up front. And this is just another lesson I feel like that WB has learned now, hopefully learned, where they're going, oh, well, we shouldn't listen to the fans when they say, I want more Birds of Prey in the trailer. They're making it a Harley movie. No, it is a Harley movie. Shut up. It needs to be a Harley movie. It's like, if she's in it and she's telling the story, it's her story.
Yeah.
Put her name in the title.
Unfortunately, and it's true, and it has to do with any form of storytelling across any venue. You can't just take one character and world build in a movie. Like, if I had a book to do this with, probably fine. I mean, the sales of the comics themselves kind of justify that. If you have enough time with the characters, you can do that. If it's just the next movie that you're supposed to catch and make some time for in your weekend, GA doesn't always catch it, and they're not privy to the same signals that we are. I mean, it feels like I'm talking about a different species. I'm not. I'm just talking about people who don't spend their time the way we do. Like, we obsess about this shit.
Yeah, we do.
And fuck, anybody who's listening to this does the same thing. You literally had DC Comics as a search term at some point and found us. Like, this is a thing. This is part of your world, and it's part of your worldview. And if you're outside of that, out of context, you may not have even realized what was happening. So it's one of the things that can be learned is like, yeah, you have character arcs, and you can do whatever you want, and you include other people. And by the way, the film did a fantastic job of including those other people. Like, everybody got a fair amount of screen time. It was like everything felt earned. It was really good at that. Like, to make an ensemble performance that paid off in act 5-ish, I want to say. I hadn't broken it out by acts, but you know what I mean. To make all that work, I think it did in the film a great job of it. But to have bet on that in the marketing, maybe that was just one of those things where the marketing people maybe they just had it on this one. There does have to be a balance. I mean, there are people you literally employ, Harvard graduates, Harvard professors in some cases, that you employ to sit down and do algorithms and tell you how you're supposed to name stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then they're going to be right.
Yep.
Yeah, the fact is, though, no matter what it's named, the movie itself was still very creator-driven. And like, we still got to find peace, whatever it's called.
We did. All right, so...
I need a little sound I can do where it's like me leaving a soapbox. Okay.
I think that's just called silence.
It's also the sound of Dave realizing he can finally move to the next piece.
Yeah, we already have that sound. It's called me going, uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Captain Murphy on Sea Lab 2021. Yeah, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there was a really cool. I didn't catch this when we saw the movie, but there's this really cool little Easter egg where Renee Montoya is walking across the room, and in the background we see a small television, and it's playing this old footage of a woman dressed as a court jester. And what it is the actual footage from the Days of Our Lives episode where Arlene Sorkin was in a dream sequence.
Sweet.
Doing the Harley Quinn character that she kind of halfway made up for the show.
Yeah.
That inspired the creation of Harley Quinn.
That's so good.
Uh-huh. So Arlene Sorkin is in Birds of Prey, if you look hard enough.
That's really good. That makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, here's the other big piece of news we got.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the second big piece of news we got out of 3.
Okay.
Matt Reeves posted the freaking Batsuit. Did you see this thing?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Like with the Michael Giacchino, like a piece of the Michael Giacchino score for the movie. It's like got a red filter on it, and is Pattinson in the suit, maybe from like the chest up. We don't know what the ears look like. We don't know what the color scheme is.
Thing that I'm like, damn it, man, I need to know.
But they've given us enough that people all over the internet are freaking out.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal.
Like everyone keeps saying it looks like the Arkham games.
No,
but I didn't see that at all.
That.
I mean, I saw it, but because he has armor. But you know what I saw? I saw Injustice.
I think the shoulders are maybe where they're thinking that, because the way the shoulder plates move over the chest plate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staring at an Arkham poster right now, and it's just it's not all there. But I think the intricacy in the overlapping armor was maybe where they got it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
saw a cowl to some extent. Like, what it's still.
I saw some Injustice.
Yeah, I could see that.
But with the actual cowl, with the mask, I'm seeing Adam West.
Yeah, I can see that.
In the stitching over the nose and around the eyes.
I can see that.
I'm seeing Lee Bermejo. I am loving the collar, though.
The collar had to be pointed out to me. I miss a lot of costume stuff.
You do.
The collar is like someone pointed out to me, and I was, oh, that is there. And, because of what I'm reading at the moment, it reminded me of White Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But a very underestimated version compared.
Yeah. Yeah, over on my Star Trek show, I was telling Matt of MCU Cast, or Matt was telling me that he has face blindness to some degree, like, because they had a character who was playing a couple different characters, and I was like, but they didn't like announce it or anything. He was only announced as one character, so I was like, was that the same guy? Was he playing the hologram of the? Was that the captain? But he was playing the hologram too, and Matt was like, I don't know, man. I thought he was a different guy. He had a different voice. And I'm like, yeah, but his face was the same. He's like, I don't know. So we were like joking about how Matt has face blindness.
I know.
And I told him off.
I know.
I told him off air.
Hyperprognosia when you see faces you shouldn't. I think the other one's hypoprognosia.
Mm-hmm. But I told him, I was like, off air, I was like, it's all right, man. Jason's got costume blindness. Mm-hmm. It's like Barry will have a completely different costume, and Jason's like, it's the Flash.
It's the Flash, man. What do you want from me? And you're like, but
and
you
like,
can see his chin.
Like,
I didn't see his chin before. It was just part of the costume.
Yeah. Like, it's just
it's
Flash,
hilarious.
But it's Ezra Miller.
Like, what cracks me up is like when I'm quietly at home trying to pretend that I can draw, and I'm like texting you like, did you know the Flash symbol changed here and it did this? And I'm like, yes, I know that. Are you kidding me? That is so much a part of my life that I feel like you just asked me if I understand what toast is. What the fuck, Jason? You're like, yes, that changed in '97 when so and so took over. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right, I'm listening. I don't doubt you.
Yeah,
didn't notice.
Yeah, when they switched Superman's yellow to black in the mainstream comics, and we got that one little step closer to Kingdom Come. I didn't sleep for a week.
Wait, what does this mean? Is this an innocent nod, or is my world supposed to crumble? Is it about to crumble? I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah. So speaking of symbols, there's a lot of folderol over the possibility that this bat symbol, which is not a traditional looking bat symbol, it's I don't know, sort of a implied bat symbol almost, but it looks like, according to some, and I could see what they're saying, that it is two halves of a gun making up this bat symbol.
It's possible. It's possible. But
I am unconvinced.
May I give you an example that would call that into question?
Absolutely.
I know that the Starbucks logo is supposed to be a mermaid.
Uh-huh.
Now, I've never looked up why it's supposed to be a mermaid. I've never thought Java equals mermaid. I've never thought that sailors were a particularly coffee-loving type.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that got worked into the mythology of Starbucks. What I do know is that, to me, it looks like a lady committing suicide with two guns at the same time.
Oh, okay.
It's a bad interpretation. I'm wrong. I'm just saying that's the fact of the matter. I am incorrect. But every time I look at it, since I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So I don't know. The two guns are plausible. Also, don't put a ton into it as far as what's going on in the suit quite yet. Like, that's going to be the basic design, but camera test is camera test. We're some tweaks away from a final.
I don't know if this is just what's behind the logo and there's really going to be a bat symbol on top of it. I don't know if this is, a lot of people are bringing up the Kevin Smith story where Batman literally took Joe Chill's gun and fashioned it into armor.
Oh, yeah, that was a really good story.
Behind his bat symbol.
Yeah.
I didn't actually care for it. I thought it was a little dumb. I thought it was a little contrived.
You know what? In the context of BTAS, if you'd shown me that story, I think it would have made a lot of sense because they could have done it subtly. Mm-hmm. Like, it would have been a 20-second clip at the end of an episode, and they never spoke about it again.
Yeah.
Which would be, to me, the way to do that. Like, don't make a whole thing of it. Just a few seconds at the end, knowing, oh, that's the backstory. You're going to think about that all week.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So, one, don't put too much into it yet. Don't worry about the fine points yet. It's a camera test. I know they're filming.
I don't think it's a camera test. I think it's a reveal.
I mean, I know it's a camera test, but there are going to be tweaks.
Yeah.
There are going to be tweaks. And actually, I wondered, by the way, because I know there are going to be tweaks, if the ears are somehow going to be CGI'd because they just didn't show up. But yeah, that's insane.
Actually, I'm an idiot. Matt Reeves literally hashtag camera test on the post.
Oh, yeah. No, it said camera test outright.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure this is, if not absolutely close, or absolutely the thing they're going to use is damn close. Is what I'm saying.
Very, very bottom line, 80+%. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're way closer to finished by a very long shot than not finished.
But, what was it? I can't remember. There was some idea floating around that Gary Frank had when he and Jeff Johns were doing, what was it? Earth One, maybe? That's a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
God, what is wrong with me? But he was talking about, like, there is no specific Batman suit in their run. Like, it just evolves as it goes, as he needs it to.
Which is true to the character.
I just remember him talking about how, like, initially Batman was wearing Doc Martens. It made me laugh. But if that's what that would be kind of a cool.
Would have kind of made some sense. Like, it was like a stylized combat boot. Like, when we were growing up, that's basically what that was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was some in our generation, it was some serious emo signaling, especially if it was black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we knew which kind of music you listened to if you were wearing those boots.
Yeah.
Speaking of, by the way, I was happy with the suit and happy with the cut of his jib, so to speak, with the cowl. But fuck that music.
Yeah, that music was great.
That music was dope as shit. Yeah, that was the major takeaway for me. It was like, man, if that's the theme, I am really going to be happy with the score on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was confirmed later by him. I forgot where, but you probably ran across it too. That's from the score he's working on.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, it's funny that you mentioned someone or seeing those like combat boots or whatever and feeling like, oh, I know what music they listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in college, I was hanging out with this dude named Ben that I had a couple of writing classes with, and he was like totally goth. Like he had like the metal shit that he put over the finger and the whole thing.
Oh,
The long trench coat. And, yeah, like the combat boots, the long trench coats.
Wait, the long thing over the finger? You're talking about the like clawish thing almost?
Yeah, like the cloth thing. Yeah, it looks like Lord Zed or something.
Yeah,
and
like a Voldemort with cheap silver.
Yeah, the black scraggly hair over his face.
Yeah.
Everything. And we were like, yeah, we're gonna go and hang out, go check out Barnes and Noble or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll drive, man. And we get in the car and he cranks it up. And what do I hear but, I am a lineman for the county. And I just started cracking up.
Like, hold on. John Denver?
Glenn Campbell.
Oh, fuck. That's fantastic. I love that kind of shit, though.
I just started cracking up. And he was like, what? I was like, I didn't expect this.
That's fantastic. I mean, I really do love it. I was watching a Sesame Street because, by the way, 15-month-old, so that's part of my life.
Doesn't have to be.
Of all the things, it's really the lesser of all the possible evils. She might accidentally learn something, and they throw in some jokes for adults. It's livable.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing this side character, and it's one of those It's one of those episodes where they do several songs just in a row. They make it specifically more musical than normal, and it's some side character, the little mustachio dude, grumpy as hell. Like every time you see him, he's like, I can't believe I'm having to do this, blah blah blah, yeah, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this one episode, they like for some reason it becomes his responsibility to sing the next song, and he sits down and is like, well, I mean, okay, I've been working on this one for a while. I didn't want to sing it, but okay, we'll do it. And then it's the Sesame Street version of death metal. It cracked me the shit up. I mean,
that's great.
It was like, well, deeply less than the budget that they could get for the normal instruments. Like you could tell they just had to put it on overdrive. They didn't have like a distortion pedal or something they could turn on. And they sure as fuck didn't have the amps to do it, or they had mics to pick it up. They worked within their means, but you could tell that's what they were doing. And the rest of the crew just kind of stood back like, the fuck is going on here? And I laughed my dick off. I enjoyed the shit out of that scene. That's the kind of thing it was like, that's here for me. That's here for me. That's here for me watching all these Sesame Street episodes, learning about the letter of the day, and just getting one damn joke I can. Yeah.
What I don't really listen to metal very much, but I kind of messed with my wife a little bit the other day. I got in the shower and I threw on Elvis Costello.
Yeah.
And Elvis Costello's playing. It's like 2 Elvis Costello songs, and then all of a sudden, like I had like snuck some Death Flock in.
Oh, nice.
So it just like goes from like the angels want to wear my red shoes, to like Mermaider
under the water.
And I got in the shower. She's like, "Were you listening to metal?" And it's like, "Oh yeah."
Yep, but there's a backstory. Yeah, predictably so.
Anyway, to the back to the Batman suit. I am. On one hand, I'm curious about the red wash that they have over this footage, because it does look like the same red that's on like the logos, the Batman logos that you see on the clappers.
Yeah, they've got a palette.
So I'm wondering if that's like them saying like, hey, here's the tone we're going for. Here's like the sort of this noir red light district color palette. Or
that tone
I'm wondering,
where everything that happened in New York had either cigarette or sewer smoke in it.
Yeah.
There was never just a clear shot.
Mm-hmm. And then another part of me is a little interested to like, are they hiding what color the Batman suit is? Is this thing gonna be, is it gonna be blue and gray?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but
I wouldn't be.
But
I mean, it would make sense if they were like, "Hey, so check this out. This is what a lot of Gotham looks like. So this is like proof of concept for the fans. Like, hey, by the way, this is what it looks like in like a dark, seedy, situation. Here it is in different light. Like a couple weeks later, they're gonna show us, yeah, it's blue and gray.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think
It's
I'd
just
mind
a possibility.
other versions at all.
Oh, I'm not saying I would. Yeah, no, I'm down for whatever.
Yeah, and anything between blue and black. And there's a specific little part of that palette you can pick off if you're doing digital stuff, where you can go straight from one to the other, like anywhere in there. I don't care. Hints of yellow, sure, hell yeah.
I could deal with that too, man. I'd be fine with it, man. I'm like Ice Cube. I'm down for whatever. Look, here's something I wouldn't be down for, but it's funny anyway.
Okay.
Gail Simone. Everybody talking about how the symbol is a gun. Is Joe Chill's gun. Gail Simone wrote, "I think Batman's codpiece should be adorned with the pearls recovered from the alley floor."
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. That was glorious, is what that was.
Oh man, yeah. I am curious about those ears though. They didn't show those ears on purpose.
Maybe not on purpose. Yeah, I'm torn. I mean, maybe just not on purpose because it didn't seem like a huge deal. Maybe not on purpose because the specific footage they shot looked better this way, and that was just like, we'll get to the ears later. Don't worry about it. I don't know how much thought went into what we were being shown right now. But what I do know is that, yes, the ears is a part I'm curious about.
Now, here's what I'm hoping. Honestly, like I am not a huge fan of the Joe Chill gun thing. I like Kevin Smith. I'm not hating on him or anything. I didn't love that reveal. It was a cool idea, and I'm down for it. I'm glad he got to explore it a little bit. I'm hoping that it's folded up batarangs, because what I hope they're doing is I hope they have looked at All-Star Batman.
Yes.
From Snyder and John Romita Jr. I want those ears to be freaking shanks.
Goddamn right.
I want those to be folded up batarangs and the bat symbol they can just pull out and like whip it up. Dude, that would just be awesome if like every part of that costume that wasn't defense was fully offense.
Like
just
if it wasn't tech or
boom,
armor,
boom,
it's
boom.
just you can rip this off me as you will, and it's still gonna hurt you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I dig that.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm not a huge fan of the gun thing. I think it's kind of dumb.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I just do.
the funny thing is to me, like, I like the idea of the one gun being melted into the costume. And yet I think for it to be two guns doesn't make sense.
Well, I think
Symbolically.
the idea is that it would be like, I think it's supposed to be like half each side is a half of the gun or something.
I get it, but it doesn't work on all cylinders for me. Yeah, that was. I didn't mean to. My bad.
Yeah. I'm not sure I could deal with a costume of that caliber.
I mean, I'm happy about what just happened, but I'm also sad. Yeah. I feel
On the other hand, it would be the only way back.
All the way around.
On the other hand, it would be the only way Batman would have a barrel of fun in the thing.
Nope. Now you get more points off than me.
Well, look, Dave,
you took a shot and you missed.
I got you. Look, the thing I don't like about the gun being behind the symbol, though, is he's being like so incredibly sentimental about it. Like, it's almost like he's lost sight of his mission.
I would argue that the sentimentality is at the heart of the origin more than any other emotion possible in Batman's mythos.
I just really want to say lose sight.
Again, I don't think that's going to work. You maybe should have taken another moment and you pulled the trigger anyway.
I know.
We need to stop this now. What else you got?
Yeah. We've created a series of bad clips.
No, God damn it, Dave. Oh, no. I've also run out of gun parts that I know. It's another thing. At this point, I have to be like, I don't think people can handle that. And handles just, what the fuck are we doing here?
Right. I did consider it, but, you know.
I think
it's
we're
okay.
looking down the barrel of a very poor decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, in the editing, why don't you just put a silencer on me?
Because then it'll sound weird. I'll have to do overdubs of, this is where Dave made a particularly bad pun, and we didn't feel good about it.
I'm fine with it.
We were off target.
I have no shame. We're good.
Yeah. If anyone's thinking, fuck us, me too. Me too.
All right, look. So take it with a grain of salt, but Humberto Gonzalez over at The Wrap is saying that sources close to the production, or actually insiders with knowledge of the project, that's the other awesome version of that, says that this movie is going to be exploring Bruce Wayne's second year as the Dark Knight detective. Which, if it's sort of playing on year 2, I guess it would make sense for it to be the Joe Chill gun.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of those stories where I saw it. It was sources in the end, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thought.
Could be.
I'm not exactly sure what to do with it.
But I never found anything when I did get a chance to dive into that one for a second, and I never found anything other than sources.
That's right.
I don't know. I mean, it's a good guess. It really is a good guess.
All right. Last piece of actual news here that I'm going to talk about tonight. Batman the Animated Series is returning in comic book form, and it's exciting because it's with Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, and Ty Templeton.
Sweet.
Ty Templeton being, the artist who worked on the old Batman Adventures books, and he always did a really great job with it. And I'm excited. It's going to be called Batman The Adventures Continue. And here's why I'm really so excited about it. All right. They're going to be building on Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne's relationship, building on stuff from the World's Finest Superman, Batman crossover episodes. They're bringing in Jason Todd.
I saw that.
They're doing Red Hood. They're bringing in Deathstroke. They're bringing in Azrael. And what's really fun is that a few months ago, they announced a continuation of the Batman the Animated Series action figures called Batman The Adventures Continue. And they are tied to this series, but they were doing like Deathstroke, Red Hood, Azrael, and doing them in the Bruce Timm animated series style as if they had been part of the show, which is really cool. One thing they don't mention here, like about this comic though, they've said all of those are coming back. They've said it's tied to those figures, but they've also released an announcement today that they're doing the Batman Who Laughs. They're going to have a animated series Batman Who Laughs action figure. So I'm wondering if they're not going to do Batman Who Laughs in this animated series comic.
It was only supposed to be, what, a 3-parter or something? It was a limited run.
It is a 6-issue digital first miniseries.
6, okay. That is a lot to get around to. You could not possibly explain to me within the realms of a normal comic book style page how the Batman Who Laughs fits into that universe unless you were just really digging in from the front. And by the way, if you do, fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
I said before on the pull list things that the Batman Who Laughs and the Metal series in general, I think would be best done in an animated format, and it should be. I think that's where it would really grow. I think that's the best way to portray it. And fuck yes, if it's in BTS as well, hell yeah.
Yeah. Now look, Paul Dini wrote, fans familiar with the Batman of the new Batman/Superman adventures will be right up to speed. Alan and I approached the writing with the idea that we were doing the season you might have seen if we had not put the series aside to do Batman Beyond. And Alan Burnett said, we're going back to cover certain gaps in the original series, events that didn't have a bearing on the series at the time, but now do. In other words, there will be secret histories that will turn Batman's world upside down, things that no one knew were out there until now.
I love it.
I'm down, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I dig it.
And it's the first one is available digitally in April, and then we'll be hitting the comic book shops on May 6th.
So I'll get it in May, and we'll deal with it then.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah,
so,
that's solid. I wanted to hear how they voice Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I mean, it's literally supposed to be another version of Bruce Wayne. Like, are they going to let Conroy go crazy kind of voice? Like,
well, it's a comic book.
I mean, I know it's a comic book, but like, are they going to give him a different voice in this context? Is what I mean. Because if you're reading the comics as they are, like they're written by Scott Snyder. He voices Batman a certain way. It would be interesting to hear how like Paul Dini's I would like to hear his take on that verbiage. The
only thing I'm actually really hoping for is that they do it in a font that I can read, unlike the Batman Who Laughs in that mainstream.
You get used to it after like 2 pages.
My eyes are bleeding, Jason.
They're fine.
Anyway, we're going to be right back.
Metal bifocals should be good.
We're going to run to break, and then we're going to come back with your questions. And now we are back with your questions.
Good time to be back there.
I
hope you've rediscovered how you want to buy shaving products.
Whatever, man.
Whatever the fuck was happening right then.
Yeah. No idea. Tim Yoko at Alan Fire on Twitter. This is the co-host of DC Film Squadcast. Writes to us and says, would you rather see a Birds of Prey sequel through Warner Brothers Pictures or Warner Max? Are you familiar with Warner Max? We haven't actually talked about it at all.
I have a guess.
Warner Max is the basically the production division for direct to streaming films.
Okay, so my guess was good.
It's going to be lower budget, not tentpole films that are going straight to HBO Max.
Yeah, and which franchise did he ask about?
Birds of Prey. Would we rather see Birds of Prey through Warner Brothers Pictures or Warner Max?
No, I'd rather see that one through Pictures just because of the media backlash. But honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, like I said on Twitter, I'm pretty sure my answer is somewhere between, or somewhere like yes sir, thank you sir. Just whatever.
Either way,
I feel like
can already read the clickbait from here about if it goes straight to a streaming service versus anything else.
I don't feel like there's going to be any alternative. Like we're going to get clickbait in some way or some.
Oh no, yeah, I know.
Fashion.
You can already see the headline. Birds of Prey flopped so hard it has to go straight to streaming this time.
Yeah.
I'm already so sick of that as a thought. Which, by the way, I'm not wrong. I could write you 20 headlines that paraphrase that, and 10 of them are going to be verbatim.
Yeah.
Like, that is going to be a story people tell. And it's bullshit. But, honestly, I'll take it either way.
Yeah,
and
I'll take it either way.
It would be a good opportunity to do a Birds of Prey film that focused on something that's not Harley Quinn. Because that would be a realistic way to use that franchise. You've already built them. They're already in. But it's not... They weren't blockbuster numbers. You're not going to pass $1 billion. So take the characters that did really well, which, by the way, is most of them, if not all of them, and double down. Let Black Canary or Huntress or many of the other people who want to film in this thing, let them have their film. You know, it'd be my favorite thing if there was a straight to streaming HBO Max movie that was called like Birds of Prey Black Mask 2, and it was just an hour of sharks feeding. Fucking perfect.
All right, that sort of brings us to J. Scott St. Clair's question here. Which characters who made their big screen debut in Birds of Prey should join Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad? He says, I enjoyed the film but would love to spend more time with Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress, or was it the Crossbow Killer?
Yeah. I mean,
here's what I will say.
I don't think any are going to.
I don't think any will go or are going to, but if anyone, that's right. But anyone from Birds of Prey in the Suicide Squad, I want Zaz. I think it would be fun to have Harley and Zaz. Zaz obviously having some sort of real issue with Harley and not being able to do anything about it. Maybe he's trying to sabotage her on the sly without getting Waller to detonate the bomb in his back.
Up. Yeah.
I think that would be... but he doesn't have, at least in this version, I haven't seen like any real workable skill that the squad would need. So
No. I mean, yeah, not like they're gonna. There's no like explosive expert or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, of all the things, Montoya probably has the most workable skill.
Yeah.
She's in certain ways she effectively is the Question. She has the most deductive skill in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Harley has maybe the most amount of luck.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene where she just throws trash and runs and it all works out. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I do want to see more of Huntress, but I would rather just see Huntress in a straight up Birds of Prey movie.
No, I think that's my secret answer too, is I would rather just actually see them featured. And secret answer 1, it's just not going to happen at all. But if I had to pick outright, tough call. Wait a second. Hold on. I have something for this and it fits. I have a two-face coin. Lady Liberty on one side and damaged Lady Liberty on the other. Ready?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I'm going to call damaged Lady Liberty as Huntress. And Black Canary it is that I'd rather see. Because the coin decided.
Right.
Because I couldn't. If you made me. Knife to my snot bubbled face. Could not make a decision.
Yeah. I think I did like Black Canary more than Huntress, but I feel like Huntress was the only person who really got the short shrift in that movie.
Honestly, it just depends on which scene I'm thinking about.
Yeah. All right. Jokes on Stu over on Twitter. It's all fricky.
Mm-hmm.
Says Thomas Wayne, mustache or no mustache?
Mustache.
I'm gonna go mustache with a goatee.
I don't mind the goatee.
I think we should do mustache with a goatee.
But in my head, there's so much about Thomas Wayne and Bruce Wayne that are like, clearly, if you saw one, you'd be like, you're Thomas's son. And the other one, you'd be like, you're Bruce's dad.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like I appreciate having the mustache to lean on. Be like, yeah, no, that's his dad because that's the mustache.
Well,
also,
I'm not being silly.
Here's a weird side take for you, though.
Uh-huh. When
he does Matches Malone, he has the mustache, and some part of me thinks that it's like some weird homage to his dad.
That's funny. I believe in at the very least, the pre-New 52 continuity, Matches Malone was just a real dude, and that's how he looked. And
we'll see if that sticks. To me, it's going to be a a disguise of his until someone really rocks the boat.
Well, what I like about Thomas Wayne having a goatee, it's not just me being silly. It's because as Batman, Bruce covers everything but his goatee parts. And I like Thomas.
The inverse image being part.
Yes, I like the inverse image.
I like that a lot. Where like you could see someone on the street being like, well, it can be a Wayne because the cowl doesn't cover that part of his face and Wayne's have that goatee.
Right.
What do you want from me? That's not true.
I don't know about I'm not making a statement about anyone like making the connection or anything. I just like that little inverse design element. I just think it's kind of fun.
No, I like it as a thwart.
Interesting.
I like it as a red herring. I like that too.
All right. DCU fam on Twitter says the upcoming Justice League Dark, if they do produce movies and TV shows at the same time, how would you like them to be or not to be connected? Different teams, different universes, or all interconnected? I'm going to say different teams, different universes, and all interconnected because it's a multiverse. It's DC, and that's what DC is.
Yeah. We've opened up a door now since
Crisis.
Flash met Flash.
Mm-hmm.
We have a window here where if they take advantage, this all can be so fucking cool.
I want a Constantine meets Constantine movie. I want Matt Ryan and
I'm into it. At least give me a
Keanu
moment
Reeves
where
to team
even
up.
if you recast Constantine, cast Constantine. Let's be realistic. Even if you cast Constantine as somebody else, and we'll discuss it as we get there. I don't have any preferences. I don't care. He doesn't have to look like Sting. You know what I mean? But
let's have Sting. Let's have Sting and Matt Ryan and
that would kind of be fun.
Keanu Reeves, like all team up as Constantine from different realities.
Yeah, that actually would be fun. But
I'm totally down. That
Short
could
of
be
that-
a Warner Max.
can just have that
Give a
one
shit.
scene appear on Warner Max, and I'll pay you for it.
I think just Keanu Reeves being involved would make Warner Brothers go, "Oh no, sweetie, this is a tentpole now."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He carried 3 plotless movies with hundreds of deaths. He can carry this too.
Right.
Yes, I'm talking about John Wick, and yes, I've seen all 3 now, and yes, I do not understand what happened. I can give you a vague outline.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it later. But
I knew I could count on you.
now, here's the other part. Did I enjoy it? I enjoyed 100%. I just don't know what happened, and I know he killed hundreds of people. Like so many. And he doesn't just kill people. He kills the fuck out of people. Like, you're getting 2 in the gut, 1 in the face, and he turns you around the back and pops 1 in the back of the brainstem just to make sure and puts you down.
You know, weirdly,
grabs your gun and moves on to the next dude.
Weirdly, that has been the most compelling argument for me to watch it now. It's like, nope, don't know what happened. Bunch of people died, though. Like, oh, okay. So we're talking about the transporter loses a dog, basically. That's what happened. Okay.
Yeah, I've only seen Transporter, the original, and fuck, it was in college, and I don't remember what happened. That's on me.
It's
That's
okay.
not on the film.
You don't need to know. It was absolutely on the film. Do not belittle yourself.
No, I assure you, I was
don't
not in a
think
good state when I watched it, because I know.
And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. I was in a fine state when I watched the first 3, and those are all the ones I saw, and my God.
Yeah, I had a similar feeling. I walked away and be like, I think I could describe what's happened over 3 films. But if you ask me for plot points and act breaks on the first 3, I would be a little bit at a loss. I'm sorry.
You know, I would I would say, you know, just skip the Transporter movies, go straight to Crank.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I'm saying with John Wick, that's how I would describe it as well. It's like, I don't know. Many shots were fired. People died. Anyway, all right, so that's a whole conversation. The weirdest part is how I really enjoyed myself. It's like smiling for 90 minutes and not knowing why you're smiling.
All right.
But where did I get to this part of the conversation?
I don't remember.
That's the question. What was the question we were asked? It'll jog my memory.
The upcoming Justice League Dark, if they produce movies and TV shows at the same time, how would you like them to be or not be connected?
Ah, yes. All right. So we got into Keanu Reeves in general, and that sounds fantastic because I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to admit this. I know, there's a recent thing about DC fandom and unpopular opinions, but that movie wasn't really that bad.
Constantine? No.
Yeah.
I liked the movie.
Sorry. It was all right.
I liked
Tilda Swinton. A lot of really good acting in it. Had some scenes in there that I still remember. That scene when he's being lifted up to heaven, he just flicks the guy off. Just fantastic.
Yes, that was fantastic. Absolutely.
So good. So very Constantine. But short answer is, I don't know, man. All of them. Long answer is, yeah, we have an opportunity here where, and apparently it came from the top down, where Warner Brothers called and said, hey, can you still get us into this crisis event? And Guggenheim said, I don't care if I have to employ a 4-year-old child to hold the camera. We're going to make this happen. And they made it happen, and it was glorious. And you have a chance. You have a chance to, you can make that just a sidebar, that every now and then some stuff is going to happen that's part of a multiverse. And maybe you resolve that later. Maybe you don't. I don't care. Maybe it's just a thing that happens every once in a while where somebody, I don't know, possibly a magician, pops into the multiverse and finds other versions of people.
And by the way, I have a theory. I can't say that now without hearing Buffy. I have a theory that it's a demon. What's more with feeling, y'all? But
wasn't.
Yeah, I have a theory that they now, because of the Crisis situation, because of what happened in Crisis, and that they have actively stated that Jim Lee and company have a plan. I now believe wholeheartedly, with very little evidence to support my belief.
That's
why they call it faith. That's why they call it faith. I believe all these separate little movies that they're planning outside of the DCEU canon are for an eventual lead up to some sort of cinematic crisis.
It's cliche to just run the X-Files music behind you when you say that, but I want to believe too. I do. I really do. And there's a chance you can make it happen. You can make it work. I know Jeff Johns has been sidebarred a little bit I say that. That's bad phrasing given some of the commentary. He has a thing he's working on, Mad Ghost or something like that.
Well, that's his production company.
That's some of primarily what he's invested in, but anyway, you have him still at your disposal, and he is of all people the one that, and I'm sorry, another unpopular opinion that you and I both possess.
Yeah,
I still believe and trust in what he can do with the DC universe because he's proven it to me over and over again.
That's right.
No one's going to agree with everybody's take. No one's going to agree with everybody's turn. And I know there's some differences between him and Snyder, and we can talk about those. But overall, this guy has a great grasp on what that universe is capable of. And if you gave him the chance, and honestly, if you gave other people the chance too, so don't pin this on Johns, you gave other people a chance as well, they can make this happen. But there is a chance here. We have a moment where you can make what you're saying happen, and I want it.
Yeah.
So, altogether, Justice League Dark, I don't know where it fits in. I mean, to some extent, don't care. I just will be happy to see a good movie when it happens, if it happens. But the tie-in possibilities, literally endless right now.
Yeah. I agree.
I think we just have to, there's no movement to flood Hamada's inbox right now with, please give us the multiverse. But there should be. There fucking should be.
Yeah. I agree with that, too. Brooklyn Batman on Twitter asks, do you believe...
Batman?
Brooklyn
sorry,
Batman.
Sorry, couldn't hear you completely.
Brooklyn Batman on Twitter, do you believe these Aquaman versus Wonder Woman rumors happening in the Flashpoint movie? Well, not necessarily, but they would be stupid not to do it.
Yes and no. I saw the previously named Alberto Gonzalez crying out that sources said that was absolutely not a thing they were considering at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And I say it would be stupid not to do it because Aquaman and Wonder Woman are their two most successful franchises at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Numerically, they're
in the DCEU. Yeah.
They're at the top at the moment.
Now, I'm not saying it should dominate the entire movie. I'm saying we should maybe do it maybe as much as they did it in the animated Flashpoint Paradox film. But
yeah, just
yeah, they should be involved.
A little backup.
And
I wouldn't mind seeing the story at all, but I also, you haven't to me built in anything along the idea that those two are going to be. There's no animosity between those characters right now.
Well, no, not right now, but this would be in the Flashpoint universe after Barry saves his mother. And just like in Flashpoint, Aquaman and Wonder Woman and the Atlanteans and the Amazonians would be at war and destroying everything.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying that if it happens, and it's built into that context, great. If they're just using two franchises to butt heads, no, don't just do that.
Yeah, don't just do BVS again. Don't do Aquaman versus
what we're
Wonder Woman.
Do, like pulling the trigger too hard on two people that you didn't build that in necessarily. You tried to
But we have had, it could be argued that we have had substantial build up now that Flash, Aquaman, and Wonder Woman have all worked together in Justice League. Aquaman has had his own movie. Wonder Woman will at this point had two of her own movies and 2 team up movies. So, I mean, if you do it as a sidebar and, oh my God, and if they do Flashpoint and they wanted to do this version of it, they could have all the kids from Shazam in it. They could have Captain Thunder. They could do all the things, man.
All doable.
All the pertinent things.
Could be a lot to ask from a 2-hour movie.
It was a lot to ask from like a 90-minute movie, but they did it well.
I mean, I saw it. I agree.
Yes, I want dude from Walking Dead back. I want Negan back as I can never remember. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I want him back as Thomas Wayne.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a good way to not have to deal with Affleck. You don't have to deal with bringing him back. You don't have to deal with Amber Heard bringing her back because Wonder Woman beheads her,
oh, shit, you're right.
In the Flashpoint storyline. So, Amber Heard and her weird domestic abuse ass can just stay out of this one.
That story that none of us want to deal with can just go.
Yeah, they're foolish if they don't do.
You're looking at all the gossip. God damn it, and you're like, I don't know who I'm more disappointed by.
Yeah, look, man. If based on everything I've seen, I'd be fine if we never saw Amber Heard again. Let's just recast Mara all together.
Just leave it at that. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't need to deal with her anymore. That's fine.
Yeah.
They had good chemistry, but yeah, if I'm being honest, between Justice League and Aquaman, we have two completely different takes on that character.
Yeah.
And they were both played by Amber Heard. So
And if you were going to do it,
I don't know.
And like I said, having opened the crisis door,
Mm-hmm.
having explored the multiverse,
Mm-hmm.
you can kind of just come back and do whatever you want if you do it right.
Yeah.
And it'll work out. I mean, honestly, if we went through the crisis door and came back after a Flashpoint movie that didn't include all the characters, that maybe let's just say it's just Flash based.
Mm-hmm.
Just a Flashpoint movie about his experience in that. Maybe a couple of cameos here and there, whatever. But nothing really focusing on like an Aquaman, Wonder Woman, an Atlantis, the Mascara War, or any of the other stuff.
Uh-huh.
Let's say you just made a Flash movie. Flashpoint, all that, but you included the idea of the multiverse. You could literally come back right now with whatever the fuck else you felt like coming back with. It could be Henry Cavill standing next to Robert Pattinson and just being like, well, no, this is what survived. This is the new version. And narratively, would have nothing to say. You've given me something. It all works on paper. Do what you do, buddy. And we just have to all be like, well, Ben Affleck was lost to the multiverse. What do you want to do? Crisis.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's Pattinson
Got
now.
crazy. That's how it is.
Yeah. I don't know. They could go a lot of different ways with it. But honestly, I think if they don't do Aquaman versus Wonder Woman at some capacity in Flashpoint, they're being stupid. Just my 2 cents.
It's cinematically, it could be a lot of fun.
It could be Justice League 1.5.
Yeah. My only problem with it is it would take a lot of time to have some build up to make it make sense on screen. And ultimately the payoff is it just kind of goes away. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not the
It's
major
Year of Hell.
takeaway of that book.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be one of those things where like if they explored it, that'd be fine. But I would be okay with like 15 seconds of it and move on.
I don't know about 15 seconds.
Couple minutes? I don't know. I'd be okay with just kind of glancing at it, giving us a moment of, oh, shit got real weird, right? And then just going on to another thing.
I think Aquaman and Wonder Woman fighting should be the big second act.
Now,
Followed by I mean, I would probably just straight up do a version of the Flashpoint Paradox animated film. Like I would want emaciated
that. But you'd have to build in
Cavill.
Momoa's Aquaman and Godot's Wonder Woman having beef, and there's both of them are super understanding characters.
History lesson, man. History lesson. That's all you need.
It's going to be
Quick
there
history
because
lesson.
it's a superhero film, and that's what we do. You're going to have a crane shot roundhouse history lesson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The right story, I could buy anything, but my gut's telling me that would be a lot to choke down for an entire act.
Especially when you consider how much time was wasted in the animated Flashpoint Paradox film.
Mm-hmm.
All that bullshit up front with Mirror Master and whoever else.
Mm-hmm.
And where they established the Justice League, you wouldn't have to do that now. You could literally just have Barry and Victor screwing around with shit. You could literally just have, and by the way, it wouldn't be 90 minutes. I would assume that if they did a Flash movie, it would probably be, or it could at least be 2.5 hours. So you're already cutting out a chunk of the animated film. You could add in so much more depth, more about his mom, more about Reverse Flash, because Reverse Flash and the end of that universe is really what you want to see there. You want to see Thomas Wayne. You want a little bit more with Martha being the Joker, I would say. But with emphasis on Barry. So I think it's completely doable.
Here's a fun idea.
Mm-hmm.
Bear with me.
Always.
The first you don't always bear with me. Sometimes you're fucking done
Oh
with me.
no.
But bear with me
always
right now.
bear with you. Even when I am done with you, I bear with you and go,
You do hang in there.
I hang in.
But
I bear.
imagine this version. It's Cyborg and Flash fucking around.
Uh-huh.
It gets weird. We go into the second act, where some of the culmination is the invasion of Darkseid and the Omega, the Omega symbol, the parademons, the whole thing, and that's the callback to the Dark Universe, the Nightmare Batman that we saw in BVS.
Uh-huh.
You see that, including Flash trying to call back and correct it, but he can't.
Mm-hmm.
All that happens while Aquaman and Wonder Woman are fighting each other, because that's why Batman doesn't have any help while he's trying to chase this shit down. And then you get to another version of the universe afterward where they fix all that. And yes, sacrifices had to be made and recasting happened in the meantime. Thoughts? I think it could hold together.
It could hold together. I think it could. I think them doing that is completely dependent upon whether Warner Max and or any. I think it depends on Snyder Cut stuff. I think it because let's be honest here. The majority, or like a huge chunk of Batman v Superman's budget was from a previous Batman v Superman movie that like Wolfgang Peterson was making, as I understand it. A huge chunk of the Justice League movie had previous iterations with George Miller in the works. So a huge chunk of that budget.
There were chunks,
is
but I'm
part
going
of what
to cap
that
both
reported.
at 40%.
Well, you know, George Miller, they actually had costumes and set locations and shit. They had actors in place.
I know there was a whole plan, but
so it would not cost as much as reported for Zack Snyder to have made those movies.
I would also argue that as crazy as anything I just said sounds, it doesn't put a cap on it. It opens the door to the Snyder Cut.
It does.
Much like anything else we've discussed about the multiverse right now, is the
does.
open door.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For the Snyder Cut to walk through, if it's going to exist at all on screen.
I'm not going to say it's going to happen. I'm not saying that we know for certain anything, because we don't. If negotiations have taken place, which I believe they have to some degree, but if they did release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max through Warner Max, and it did well, we already know Zack Snyder's working on a movie for Netflix. We know the man can do a budgeted movie. I don't see any reason he couldn't continue his story in some capacity and round it out, finish it up, because Warner Brothers knows that's what the Snyder Cut fans want.
The budgeted part would be getting some of the original actors to be on screen, because it's I think $50 million just to have them there.
Yes, but I think they all would for Zack. I honestly do.
I actually do too. I think you might be able to cut it down to 25 just to have them there, but not.
I think
for
they would take a major pay cut. Right. I mean, if Snyder Cut did well enough, he could probably negotiate and get the rest of his arc done. Yeah. Which it was only like a 4 or 5 movie arc.
Anyway. I do think their best bet is asking the actors to take a cut to make what they need to happen, and promising them you will not have to do this going forward.
Right.
Like, Ben, you're like 47 years old.
Yeah.
And am I around the right age, your guess?
He's old. I mean,
I think he's late 40s.
He's about to be 50, I think.
I mean, we're no spring chickens. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. I'm just saying it gets hard to keep that physique.
Yeah, no. He's 47.
Age. Fuck, I guessed that right outright. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you did.
I'm going to ride that high for a while.
All right. Well, I'm happy for you.
Super happy about that.
But yeah.
Nothing against him. It's just hard to do that for that long. I mean, it takes more and more work, like a nearly exponential amount of work to get that back. And eventually you don't, which is why I call it an exponential. You hit a wall.
I mean, they have an opportunity with
it's asking a lot.
They absolutely and legitimately have an opportunity here with Warner Max and HBO Max to release the original vision of Zack Snyder, the original vision of David Ayer, and those are visions that the general audience are not going to cop to necessarily, but the fans will love.
No, if it goes to HBO Max, they don't fucking have to. We're already getting your money on a subscription basis, and that's something you can use as a tentpole for your subscription.
Exactly.
There are enough
it's all part of the multiverse.
Want it that you're going to get a bump in your numbers even if somebody's like bounces on it next week. Also,
I mean, and let's be fair, HBO Max is
they're not going to.
HBO Max has friends. General audience achieved. They're
You're fine. I mean, at the very least, if all you are is a DC fan, you're probably already enjoying, Titans, Doom Patrol. God help you if you involve Swamp Thing. I'm sorry, and please explain it to me. Meantime, Harley the animated series made me cry last week. Like, straight sobbed, bawled. Didn't see that coming. Didn't seem like the show that was capable of it, but fuck, they got me. There's a lot of shows in what they're doing right now in DC Universe that they could fold right the fuck in, and it would be like, yeah, okay, cool. I'm already here. You can have my money instead.
Yeah.
And then if you add this on top of it, oh man, it would be totally worth the value of it. And there's an opportunity with the multiverse. There's an opportunity with the streaming service. There's an opportunity with, if your goal is to just we're just going to try to wrap this story up. And even if it was one of those things where it's like the roles were truncated, like, you know, we know it's all set in a certain format, but the on-screen time is a little bit limited. Like, you had to make that part of the deal. Yeah, you could probably make that part of the deal and still make it work. Snyder's not a bad storyteller by any stretch. He could probably make that work.
Mm-hmm.
What are you looking up?
What am I looking up? Mm-hmm. Oh, nothing.
Okay. I was something up in the background, boys.
No, we've had some internet issues, so I was just seeing if it was back up or
just
not.
double check. Okay, yeah.
But yeah,
I'm happy to rest there for the moment with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I'm good. We are not going to.
It's the widest berth we've had so far to make it happen.
Yeah. Matthew Salvatore, though, on Twitter asks, why do you think WB has not addressed the Snyder Cut in any official way? If WB isn't going to release it, why not make an official statement saying that they are not going to release the Snyder Cut? Thanks, guys. As always, love the show. Thank you, man.
I have an answer for this.
I would say why it goes both ways. You know, if they are going to release it, why haven't they announced it already? They've got their reasons. They've got their numbers. They don't want to, like, either they're still in negotiation or they've got a marketing plan and they're amping up some sort of. Look, so I saw someone who mentioned that they might be waiting for a certain tentpole event, like a certain date, like Zack Snyder's birthday, which is coming up, I think, in March. I think maybe even March 1st. Or it might be some other big tentpole, like March 16th, BVS date or whatever, you know.
Those aren't tentpoles. That's not. They don't care.
It is for Snyder Cut fans. For Snyder fans, those dates mean something.
I am sorry. Those dates are not tentpoles. It's just not.
Well, that just seems like an arbitrary argument on your part.
No, no one has ever released. No, that's reaching too far.
I don't know. It's not reaching. It's just
You're
like
right.
how November 17th.
Characterizing it that a certain way.
It's just like November 17th was the release date for Justice League, and that's when the Snyder Cut fans pulled out all the stops, and Ben and Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and all these people tweeted about release the Snyder Cut. Like, it was a specific date that meant something to the fan base that was purposefully there to get, because it was on fans' minds, and get them tweeting.
That is a tentpole date. The release date of the actual movie. Like, even the stuff this last week, I mean, I really don't. Wet blanket mode again. I don't mean anything by it as far as, like, I'm happy to see the excitement for it and I want it to, but the date that matches the runtime of the movie, not a tentpole thing. You're not, like, that's not what Warner Brothers, a thing that has existed for 70 years beyond anything that was part of these movies, gives a shit about. I'm sorry, it's not there yet, but it's not nothing. On the one hand, I don't think that date is going to be something they're just going to wait for and have in their pocket. Here's where I get less blankety, or maybe less wet blanket and more like a warm blankety. Not a warm blanket, a normal temperature blanket.
Just say the thing.
That's not damp.
I don't care about your blanket.
It's not damp and doesn't prune you in 20 minutes or less. I don't think they're waiting for something. I think if there are two options. Either it's never going to be released, in which case all of this is for naught. You have to admit, I don't care how much you believe, you have to admit that is an option. I don't care if you think it's 0.0001. You have to admit that's an option. In that case, it does them 0% good to admit that it even exists. 0% good, by the way. I mean, functionally, for them as a company, practically, it would hinder them. It would hurt them. They would have to spend resources on it. They have to spend money on it to fight the idea that, oh yeah, we admitted it exists. And now we have to combat the idea because, by the way, it has been a very persistent campaign to have it out there. And I feel like I have to say this every 4 sentences because I'm so fucking downer on the whole thing. I want it too. I just haven't seen the signs yet that point me to fucking Bethlehem. I'm not there. It's not there for me. But
you're right, though. Warner Brothers is going to look at the numbers and say, this does us no good to say it now. This does no good to say this now.
It would do no good to say that it exists until they plan to release it. You're never going to get an admission.
A gate. Yeah. You have to put a gate on your information.
Yeah.
And let it leak out as it can.
Here's one guarantee I'll give you. And if I'm wrong, fucking I'll find a hat and eat it. I have my fucking word. I won't eat a crow because that sounds nasty as shit. That if it happens, you can make crow sounds while I eat a hat. If that makes you any better. If it happens.
Horrific, painful crow sounds.
Oh, yeah. I want you to really play it up. Really go to the nines for it.
Uh-huh.
If it happens, it will happen in one fell swoop. You will hear about the release date and the fact that it exists, I think, in the same time frame, like the same 48 hours. But you're not going to hear that it exists. I don't think you're going to get any better than like seriously, even the residual, like the percentage of the costs of all the Justice League Snyder Cut apparel has raised tens of thousands of dollars for suicide prevention. Which, by the way, fucking, I don't care how much I disagree with whether this is going to happen. Goddamn good on you all. That's a fucking great cause, and so happy everyone bought a shirt, and I should too, just for that. Also, because I really do want the cut. I just didn't actually catch that sweater was out there. I probably would have grabbed it too, honestly. But I didn't see it, honestly, until you posted it at some point. But even if it's there, you're not going to hear about it until it's a full swing. What's the phrase in... I use this phrase all the time. I've forgotten it now. Fait accompli. That thing that Alfred yells at Bruce for using in Gotham. Don't use French at me, sir. It's either going to be that, or if it's literally like, there could be a DVD copy sitting on Hamada's desk with a note, like a little sticky note that just is a big question mark on it. And that's where it's going to sit. And then eventually, if we get it, it's just going to be all at once. Like, this is the hard, this is where I sit, which is the hard ground, where I'm like, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, there is no proof. And yet, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong all at once. And I'm going to be called a fucking idiot the entire time for having no faith. I know what my future is if this turns a certain way.
Well, I don't think you'll be called an idiot. I think everyone who cares what you have to say actually cares about you, so...
I don't believe that's true for a second. I will be called a goddamn fool.
I'm trying to make you feel better
for not having faith in the whole thing. And I just think it is. That's my big bet, is if it does happen, it's going to happen all at once. You're not going to get a little piece of it. You're not going to get it exists, but it's just going to all happen at once. And I think if it happens at all, it's going to happen as a result of the multiverse, as a result of HBO streaming. I think the pieces are finally falling into place, but yeah, we're not there yet.
I think there will be an announcement soon. I do think that, it'll probably be March or April, but primarily because HBO Max launches in May. And, there are a couple of Zack Snyder dates, like his birthday or the original release date for BVS. When we know that the Release the Snyder Cut hashtag is going to be prevalent on Twitter anyway, there's going to be a concerted marketing push if that's what happens.
I do believe that's
because
true.
No way are they going to release
Zack
it.
Snyder's birthday. I think it's going to have something to do with the release date if they do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but
honestly, though, there are so many people that are pushing the Snyder Cut, and I mean, man, I really am rooting for you, and I'm glad the community exists in general, because it's really fun to see something develop out of nothing so far. That's that into I don't know. It's unique to me, and I appreciate it in a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you're Warner Brothers and you release this thing and you just do it flippantly and don't use any of the pushes that you could use to galvanize the Release the Snyder Cut fan base, you're a fucking idiot. And don't get me wrong, the reason the movement exists is because they were a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are fine points. We've gone into it before, but you can't double down on the idiocy right now. You use the movement, use the poll, use all the trending. They can literally get this thing trending on Twitter right now.
Oh, yeah.
When they come together, it can... Oh, man, it's a whole movement.
It happens.
It'd be insane not to use that. Hamada's not that stupid, I don't think. I think he is the great hope of where this might finally culminate.
You know, I'm kind of out of the proclaiming any executive the great hope of DC. I every time we do, it winds up biting us in the ass.
You know what? I don't think I've ever really done it, and I'm only doing it juxtaposed to Sujihara, who decided that fully an hour and an hour and a half and some change of the 2 movies he had seen needed to be cut and redone.
Oh, look, man. I mean, a few years ago,
fuck that guy.
You could still go back and hear us talking about Sujihara saying all the right stuff.
I know.
This is the hope. And then, a few years later, screw Sujihara and Diane Nelson, man. Jeff Johns, though. Jeff Johns is the hope. And now it's like, you can't say that.
No, we've never balked on Jeff Johns being someone that we trust with stories.
We haven't, but it's bitten us in the ass just because the fan base, the Snyder fan base, hates him so much.
Yeah, I think that's unwarranted. They disagreed with where the stories were supposed to go, but I don't think it mattered in the way that it came across. I think it was all
I know what
our
our thoughts are.
I know.
Everybody who listens to our show knows.
Here's the thing that cracks me up, though. I haven't listened back, but remembering back, there's too many fucking episodes. I'm sorry. At some point when Sujihara was saying the right things about we've shown BVS to people and they're standing up, and even same thing later when they were like, we've shown people Justice League and the executives are clapping in their seats and we're just so happy with it. Like a month later, we were both sitting there in awe where it was like, and the runtime's going to be shorter than expected. And super confused about the whole thing. And then in retrospect, when it turned out it was Sujihara, we're like, oh yeah, you're the thing. You're the variable.
Mm-hmm.
You're the part we don't trust.
All right. Well, in retrospect, because Brent from Fans Without Borders and Marvel Squadcast, because he hates the Snyder Cut stuff so much, I should have placed his questions before all that.
I like where this is heading. This sounds...
But I didn't. So I'm sorry, Brent.
Because fuck narrative. Let's do this. What do we got?
Brent says, your love for Kyle Rayner, who is obviously the best Green Lantern. That's what he wants us to talk about.
He's my favorite.
And he also wants us...
by a long shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up with Kyle Rayner. I was aware of Hal Jordan. But when I got into DC hard, when I expanded past Batman...
Yeah. Everybody has their entrance point. And then there's a whole universe.
My entrance point for the expanded DC universe beyond Batman. Well, to be fair, my first real entrance was totally Hal Jordan and Barry Allen. I've got the book right here sitting on top of my external hard drive, The Lunar Invaders, Justice League of America. And it was one of those books that had a tape with it, but we never had the tape. We got it from, I think, some friend of the family or something. But that was my extended, look, there's a whole bunch of different characters together. But when I really got into the books, it was Grant Morrison's JLA. So at that point, Kyle Rayner was Green Lantern. Wally West was the Flash. They are, for all intents and purposes, who I think of first when I think of Green Lantern and Flash. And, I really love the idea of a comic book artist having the Green Lantern ring. I think it's a lot of fun. I like Kyle Rayner. I like his personality more than Hal's, I think.
He's way more relatable.
Yeah, more of the everyman, but I think, because, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a comic book artist. Sure. So I sort of plugged into that a lot. And,
honestly, for me with Kyle, I came in rather traditionally, as far as like thinking of Hal first, and then Jon Stewart for me was like the second one that I got really familiar with because of the animated series and Justice League and everything. But Kyle's the one where when I found him, I was like, oh fuck, some just fucking dude got a ring. Like that's the tone of it to me. Is some rando was handed a league and like a league position and a ring, and they were like, oh, by the way, you're holding the most powerful weapon in the universe. I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that? There's a gang of Tamarians that have decided to invade this sector, and that's on you. What now? Why? What? Hold on.
Yeah.
I always love that taken aback aspect of him. Like he's always just trying to be, because that to me feels so relatable. It's like just fucking, you're trying to be your best self, but god damn it, are you serious? What am I supposed to be doing again? Eating correctly and working out 4 times a week minimum? Fuck.
And I also love that he's, he does have this great power, this crazy power, and he's still afraid of Batman.
Yes. Yeah. I've always loved every beat of that. Every time he comes in contact with Batman, you can just see his ring shrink a little bit almost.
Yeah.
I just don't like that guy.
But yeah, I do. Man, I used to have this badass poster of Kyle as Green Lantern as drawn by Jim Lee. And I don't know what happened to it. It got lost in a move or something, and I've always been sad about that. Ever since I lost it, I was like, wait, where is it?
Yeah, something always gets lost.
No!
I don't care how carefully you pack. You could do it alphanumerically and using an Excel sheet, and you're still going to lose like 1% of the stuff you thought you owned going to the next house. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah, and it sucks. It's floating out there in the ether somewhere with my Alex Ross, Hal, and Barry Brave and the Bold poster, and somewhere with my Flash T-shirt that had the symbol on it and stuff. Like, who knows?
I think it's like a pocket in the universe where it's next to like a drop token in an arcade where you could swear you had 25 more cents in your pocket.
Yeah, you always lose like 4 or 5 things, and they're always like things that just they don't make sense. Like how they wouldn't have been together.
Yeah.
In a box.
And then when you packed them, they would have all been packed at the same time. Like you wouldn't have just gone rogue and left that on there and come back and packed it later in some other fucking box. Like they would have all been in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So yeah, that's my
and then there's that time spiel. Where like you get there and you realize that like your wife's not there and you think, oh, I just misplaced it, and the police are like, that's a murder.
Right.
You did a murder.
I like Kyle
That's
Rayner.
how that checks out.
Brent also wants to know, or wants us to talk about how awesome Alice is on Batwoman.
I have really enjoyed her.
She's fun.
I'm 3 weeks behind though at the moment.
Ooh, 3 weeks behind.
I think that only makes me 2 episodes behind.
Yeah, because they took off some time.
Maybe 4 weeks.
Yeah,
but I think I'm only 2 episodes behind. But I am behind. I'm behind.
I do enjoy her. I do enjoy her. I don't know what else to say. Like have you gotten to Beth yet? Have you seen anything post-crisis?
Like literally only briefly.
Okay.
Yes.
I like
one moment.
I think Rachel Skarsten is doing a really good job of playing Alice and Beth, and really showing some range there. What was weird is my wife rewatched Birds of Prey, and everything Rachel Skarsten did, I was just like, oh my god, it's Alice. It's so weird. Like she's got all the same tics.
Oh, that's funny.
And because she was Dinah on that show, and I was just like, I just kept seeing crazy eyes, but not as Beth though, which is weird. So I have enjoyed it. I think I'm 1 behind now, but I think she's good so far. I think she's a lot of fun.
I've enjoyed her. And you may be about to say this, but Ryan Hulsman asked something similar.
Oh, I didn't see what Ryan said.
He said something about the Beth and the Alice characters aren't supposed to be able to coexist. Which and he called bullshit on in a post-crisis universe, and I have to agree. I haven't gotten to see it to see if there's any nuances, but yeah, first take, I have to agree that sounds a little bullshitty.
Well, I don't. There were remnants. There are always remnants from the crises, whatever, where two of the same people exist. So it doesn't bother me. They're doing their own take on it. And also, I could get into spoilers, but it looks like there's something going on where they can't be near each other from what I remember, or they like both get terrible headaches. And like, I don't know if there's some sort of like frequency thing or like, I don't know what's going on.
Some kind of matter antimatter kind of thing.
Or if the universe is trying to course correct and get rid of one of them or merge the two. I don't know, but there is something going on there.
Possible. The only the thing that Ryan brought up that, and I haven't got to see it, but the idea that they can't coexist. The idea was that Ollie said all that right. That anyone who's still here can kind of coexist. There's still going to be good and evil or whatever, but the multiple people and all that are supposed to be able to be there. And if it's just a matter of like, on this show, there's a doppelganger from another universe, but that's not a thing we're going to explore on the other shows, that'll be a little bit problematic. Not the end of the world, especially if they have a good explanation, but it could be problematic.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff on the other shows that they're saying like that we know is not true. Like they're like, oh, we're the only Earth now. We're the only universe. We know that's not true. Stuff
they don't though, which I can give them
right.
that.
Right. Like you can't trust the absolute facts that the characters on these shows are stating because they don't know.
Although you have a vibe at full power again, so.
But he doesn't. They have said that they are, have scanned like the other frequencies or whatever, and they can't find any other universes or whatever. But I don't know how far you've gotten on Flash.
Two behind. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't say that.
I'll survive.
I mean, I'll just say it. I don't care. I'll
make it.
Yeah, we actively have Nash Wells seeing Harry Wells pop up and then disappear.
Sweet.
So there's the multiverse is there. Now I don't know if somehow Harry saved it and kind of put them in their own little pocket.
Didn't Flash
Multiverse, who knows?
What they literally called time remnants.
Well, they have time remnants, but not like multiverse remnants.
Sorry, time remnants were legends.
It's the same universe. I don't give a shit.
I mean, I know, but that's where they focused on the idea that time, for it to be a paradox, it had to cement. You could intervene before that.
Yeah.
So there being some kind of cementation period is, I can deal with that.
Yeah. And, there's obviously something that's going on.
Again, I've talked myself
outside
around
of the knowledge
on the subject that I was initially very reluctant about.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. A theme.
Got to be some reason that all the universes had been destroyed except the DCEU wasn't.
It's still hanging around. Well, also the entire DC streaming and everything else, but
yeah, I mean, and that there was like that little slight moment where like Clark looked like he knew what the crisis was. Like, oh yeah, I've dealt with that. Like from Smallville, because in Smallville season 11, in the books, they basically did Crisis on Infinite Earths.
You say that, but that was one of those moments of in Tom Willing's acting where you look at him and he seems intractable. I can't tell if he knows everything about possible universes or nothing, because it could be the same look on his face.
It could be,
and I appreciate that. I appreciate it about him, but like he doesn't tip his hand. But I don't know. I mean, if you told me what was happening in that scene and told me both were real, and I got to live two realities, I would watch the scene and be like, yeah, did a great job. Either way.
Yeah. I think Crisis on Infinite Earths always happens somewhere across the multiverse, obviously. Like, they literally, appeared in a different Crisis on Infinite Earths and, in the comic book tie-in to the Crisis on Infinite Earth show. They went to the actual comic book Crisis from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's all crazy, and everything's 100% probable, as the Everett Wheeler model would suggest.
No,
and
I don't think you can have actual. All right, to me, my understanding of the idea of the multiverse, I don't think you can have multiple versions of an Infinite Crisis, but.
Except it happened.
Yeah.
In the canon, it happened. They literally went from one Crisis on Infinite Earths to a different Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I know, but there was a slightly different explanation for how what's happening.
Phantom Stranger was like, "Oh yeah, this shit's happening over here too." Like,
yeah, I know.
Literally, it's all fiction.
Base
it's all
problem
horseshit.
of physics for me, where like you can't have, they can't happen simultaneously without. I guess they could. Fuck, I don't know, but
absolutely,
it would be a sidebar. Like it would be complete chaos. Like fifth dimensional level, Mix of Spit Lake would be like, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know what's going on right now. Kind of level confusing.
Yeah, as if the DC universe multiverse isn't chaos all the time.
Yeah, it's a little bit controlled.
No, it's not. That is an illusion.
No, it's literally
you
controlled.
And others like you,
writers writing it. It is slightly controlled.
No, it's never been controlled.
Complete chaos.
It's never been controlled.
There would be monkeys who discarded their scripts for Shakespeare, and we did that anyway.
Have you ever bought every DC comic on the shelf currently in publication? It is absolute
My current pull
chaos.
list would tell me that, yes, I know where you're going with this, and it's a bit crazy.
It is absolute chaos. That's why after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they had to do 0 Hour. That's why they have continuously retconned it and rebooted it.
You say that, but I'm buying a certain amount of comics every week, and because at the moment, Scott Snyder is largely in control of what's happening. It is all relatively controlled chaos.
Except when Scott Snyder took over after New 52 started, or when he continued after New 52 started, none of that shit made sense because they wanted to keep the Batman universe the same, but the time frame was all wrong.
I know. I was there for All-Star Batman. I have the originals. And I'm also living in a universe where Bendis has taken over Superman, and at the moment, there are 4 different things Superman's supposed to be doing at any given time. And only about 2 of them on average are compatible completely.
One of my favorite bits from any comic book ever was
Batman right now is in 3 different places just this week.
I cannot remember the actual book, but at the time, Wolverine was alive. It was before he had died, and they had, which I guess he's back now, but I haven't read a Marvel comic in forever. But I had, at the time, I was buying all the X-Men books. Wolverine was in every X-Men book. Include and they were all doing different things, and he was an Avenger,
of course.
And so he was in that book. And there's this great scene where like everyone's mad at Scott because he's the headmaster at the Xavier Institute, and everybody's like kind of yelling over each other, and they're all yelling at Scott. And it was just, there's an angry and exhausted Wolverine standing there going like, "Look, Scott, I appreciate your confidence in my abilities, but I can't be on every team."
Sorry, bro. Gotta tap out.
But no, I think just like even in the Crisis episode where they're like, "Oh, we stopped the Monitor from doing the thing," and then like they come back and he was like, "Oh yeah, a different Monitor from a different universe came and started the whole thing over again. It's fine. There are infinite monitors. You didn't do anything. You didn't change anything. So too must there be infinite anti-monitors to destroy an infinite multiverse."
It's not impossible.
It's nonsensical, but that is the narrative that has been crafted.
It's not even nonsensical to propose what you're saying. It's just, I think...
It's not even a proposal. It's outright what they have presented.
No, they presented the multiple monitors before Oliver fixed it.
But there's no fixing.
Yes, there is. After Oliver combined universes, whatever's still true, however many monitors or anti-monitors are still out there, that is not the purview of the episodes that we have seen. The purview of the episodes we have seen is Oliver fixed it.
Yes, according to our main characters, Oliver, he jump started that multiverse. But there's got to not a multiverse,
a multiverse from scratch.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Well, that's fine.
There were 0 universes, literally 0 universes, when he restarted the universe.
But by that reasoning, then
and he didn't restart the multiverse. By the way, he restarted the universe according to what we've been told by these characters. Now,
by the characters who are wrong,
who are probably wrong.
Not probably, completely wrong. At the end of Crisis, we see multiple universes. We know that there is, in fact, a multiverse. All of these characters believe they are the only universe left. We know the DCEU did not end.
Yeah, you're right. By that sense, yeah. I mean, by the Earth CW, it was supposed to be
Yes.
Earth CW. Period.
Right.
Earth Prime.
Right. That's right.
That's all I'm saying. Oliver was supposed to have fixed this, and whatever happens later, I will just have to deal with that.
But it was not the first Crisis on Infinite Earths throughout the entirety of the multiverses. It wasn't the first. We were shown that in the Crisis tie-in comic, where they were literally transported to the old 1985 Crisis and had a conversation with Phantom Stranger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Clark has
Another
gone
one of
through
those
in season
classic
11 his
examples
own.
of like lying on the cover, where it was like featuring the Phantom Stranger, and he was there for like 2 seconds.
Uh-huh. I'm all right with that.
It's just a thing I constantly have a problem with. Where it's
Well,
like
it did feature him.
I could swear it said featuring on his little bubble.
I mean, so he was featured. We saw him for a second.
He was there for a second. I wish
It's like
I
these
wish like comic book distributors in general were okay with the term like cameo by instead of featuring.
Yeah. I don't know. Featuring. When I was a kid, man, I would pick up a comic book, and if I got like one shot of a character that I loved, I was like, yay, that's cool. He was in there.
Yeah,
It didn't bother me. I don't know.
It.
But it's like these damn Star Trek fans. CBS All Access has been running these things, like these commercials that say CBS All Access is the only place where you can get every Star Trek series in one place. And people are actively like spamming them, talking about how like they're lying because all the Star Trek shows are available on Netflix. Well, no, idiot. They're not. Star Trek the Animated Series is not on Netflix. Star Trek Discovery is not on the U.S. Netflix. Star Trek Picard is not on the U.S. Netflix. Or on actually, they're internationally, they're on Amazon Prime. CBS All Access is literally the only place where you can get every Star Trek series in one place. It's not a lie. It's just not the truth that you want to accept.
I feel like it's not a lie in the sense that we were talking about GA earlier, where I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong. But for the average GA, who cares?
Well, sometimes the general audience, if they're going to comment like they're not GA, if they're going to comment and act like, there's some sort of actual informed person.
Here's the thing that it's just a fact. Whatever advertising you're seeing on any format in any capacity, short of like a subreddit, which isn't even advertising, anything you see that is traditional advertising where money was spent, they're not trying to get to us. They're trying to get to GA.
Yeah,
because they're hoping that we're gonna go get sucked in as a result of it. And there's some fan service with stuff like that. I mean, we're not completely forgotten, but they need GA. They need people who are just slightly interested in bulk to be able to walk in. Or, man, it would be hard to mount these things.
Yeah,
everything we cared about would be an animated project because it's the only thing you could fucking afford to mount. It would all cost slightly over $2 million per movie to put out the animated movie of whatever the fuck is going on with the Justice League right now. We need them.
Completely against it. Yeah.
I'm not either, but I enjoy seeing actual people on a screen doing things that we care about.
Yeah, we need the general audience, but the people who are commenting that are not general audience. They're old Star Trek fans who don't know how to use technology. That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree. That's a matter of not looking around a little bit.
They're the same people that's like, I don't like this SJW Star Trek. You mean like all Star Trek? The
like
60s Star Trek that deigned to have a black woman on the bridge?
Yeah. Like the first interracial kiss on television? Like barring none, the first?
Right. You mean the Star Trek that had a Russian on the bridge in the middle of the Cold War?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That show?
Right. Smack in the middle of that shit? Yep. Very exclusive bunch, that bit.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Yep.
That was 7 pages, y'all.
Yeah, it's only been a couple hours. We should probably bounce.
We most definitely should. I've got another podcast scheduled in 15 minutes.
Hopefully we've answered all the questions ad nauseum, I assume.
Probably. People are going to be like, we're not asking any more questions.
I want to know. I don't
know. I was like, hey, Alice is cool in Batwoman, right? And Then they argued about ad strategies and
And I don't even
whether
care
the
anymore.
multiverse
I'm
is
just
a real
gonna watch My Little Pony.
Well, there's several universes of that now.
Of course there are. Of course.
Okay.
They'll all show up in Deadpool at some point.
DCOnscreen.com for every episode, as if you want to hear more. We'll be back next week. Thank you for listening. You can always hit us up at Twitter at DCOnScreen. We're on Instagram at DCOnScreen. You can find us on Facebook. Type in DC On Screen Podcast or DC On Screen. You'll find us. And until next time, keep some DC on your screen.
Bye.
Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnscreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.